Welcome back, friends. It's another day and another realization. But first, I just want to mention something that happened today after yesterday's video, which was I actually received an email from a mentor that had the very concept I spoke about yesterday and that Spirit had guided me through about. And so I saw that as a divine confirmation that I had made the best choice for me, the right choice for me. And when I thought about it, I realized that often with bigger things, and big and small is all subjective, but if it takes a lot for us to work through it and to make a decision and to follow through with that on a human level, we can trust that we will get these confirmations, these signs, these synchronicities. At least that is what I have seen on my journey. And so it just felt so good because it helped also relax me of thinking that I did anything wrong. Of course, wrong is an illusion, but it's always difficult to let people go from our lives, especially if they've been in our lives a long time and we love them and appreciate them and had so many good times together. And so, but as we talked about yesterday, on this journey, as we rise in vibration, we just grow out of certain relationships. And there's not anything wrong with that or with anything. It's just that now we are a vibrational match to a different type of person because we have let go of the beliefs and programs that attracted us to these other people. And oftentimes these are so subconscious that people don't even realize they're doing it. And so what I've realized now a few times is that when I ask Spirit if it's best for me to describe why to this person, that I receive a no, because a lot of time if we're not aware of something and someone tells us this, we'll get defensive, we will deny this, and then this kind of causes an even more tense kind of dynamic. And so sometimes it is just best to move on, however that looks like for you. And of course, we do this on a case-by-case basis because some people in our lives, even though we're on an ascension path and they may not be, we're still meant to have them in our lives for a very long time, if not our whole entire lives, like family, etc. And sometimes people are guided to move on from their family. So it's all on a case-by-case basis. Family, friends, jobs, partners, etc. And reinforcing that case-by-case, and that you will receive from within what is best for you. As I've shared before, I feel vibrations from Spirit letting me know, and also I receive information in all sorts of ways, in all of the clairs, and as well as through signs and synchronicities. And I also am always in communion with my higher self, asking questions. And so it really becomes obvious and clear to me. And so sometimes we need to, start opening the dialogue, start that relationship with our higher self, with our true self. And then eventually we will be this living embodiment of our higher self in the physical. And so it also came up to mention to watch these videos in order. because the playlist is called Ascension Chronicles, and it's chronicle for a reason, chronological order, because each one I build upon, and I am assuming that one who watches this one has watched the other ones, so that you understand where I'm coming from, what I'm saying. And of course, if you want to do it like the ultimate way, it'd be to read the entire book series and then start this YouTube playlist series. And what this series is me sharing my daily realizations, things that come up to share, things that Spirit wants me to express on YouTube for all who are being attracted to this through the field. And so it is kind of like a daily journal of sorts, yet I am guided quite specifically about what to share and how many details and which details to share, etc. And just so you know, I do share more details and whatnot in the books than I do on YouTube. And that's simply for the fact that the books, one has to pay for that. There's an abundance exchange there. Whereas on YouTube, this is a complimentary resource for all who find it, access it. And so, yes, here we are. And today's realization I had a little while ago, but it came up as the realization to share today. So what it was I was hanging out with someone, and it came up that they didn't actually like something that they had told me a few weeks earlier that they did like. And this was because there was other people there. And it caught me off guard, and I said, "You lied to me," half joking, but that's what it felt like. And now as I'm saying this on camera, I'm realizing there I was making guilty, which was not cool, but it just came out. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. And that's why my books and this video series I feel is so powerful, is because I'm a human just like you, going down my path, having my ups and downs, my bumbles, and sharing with you what I learn, how you can take my experience and run with it to make your life easier, more effortless, and also perhaps provide some understanding about humanity, about programming, etc. So back to the experience here. So when this person told another person they didn't like something, yet they had told me they did like it a couple weeks earlier, I felt I had been lied to. And then upon reflection, and they said it right away, is that they were saying that to be nice to me, and so I thought, oh, and then I thought about it. I was like, of course, everything is a mirror, everything is benefiting us, helping us. What was the purpose of this? And I realized it was a direct reflection. I realized I actually had done this about an hour earlier. And I was just like, I did that too. And if someone knew how I really felt, then they would feel like I had been lying to them, when really my intention was to make them feel good, to make them feel better. Because that's what I realized the intention of this other person in saying that to me was to make me feel good, even if it wasn't their absolute truth. And so, and we could call it like bending the truth. It's not a complete lie, but when you go through this, that's how it feels. It just doesn't feel good. And then I went back and I realized I had also attracted other people that were like this and that I had been like that. Long story short was that this experience, although it didn't feel good, it helped me become aware of this program that I had been operating, was to make people feel good even if it wasn't letting them know my full truth. And so as I looked into this, I thought, oh my gosh. So what this is saying is that it's basically perpetuating this myth that other people are responsible for our feelings and that we are responsible for other people's feelings. When this is a big, big thing that my guide team and the beings I channel in the books have been bringing forth to me and humanity to shift from putting that responsibility on others is to taking back that responsibility, saying, I am responsible for how I feel, I am responsible for how I think, I am responsible for how I act, etc., etc. And because I am responsible for me, then that person is responsible for them, that person is responsible for them. And just imagine a world where we are actually completely honest with each other. At first, it may feel kind of strange because we're often used to, at least I was, and perhaps people that I was attracting, were used to bending the truth a bit so to make other people feel better or to not disappoint someone else. And yet, what this does is it perpetuates it because it's not allowing people to learn how to feel good on their own. It's saying that, okay, I can't tell you how I really feel because you may not feel good, and then I'll feel bad. So it's this whole guilt thing comes up again of if we say something and someone else feels bad, then we feel guilty, and guilt is an illusion as well. So back to my point was that when we speak our truth, when we stop bending the truth to make people more okay with it or to not disappoint others or just to make them feel good, when really we can just leave it be, and that's even is more respectful to them and to us. And what it does is it teaches people how to find that good feeling on their own, which is so important, especially with kids, I feel, with younger people, so that, and with all people, but with kids, so they don't take on these same programmings that we had. And often this is done with children because maybe one doesn't want to make them cry or make them upset. But again, it's teaching kids, it's teaching others, it's teaching adults that others are responsible for their feelings, their emotions, when that's not the case. Each one is responsible for their own feelings. Whether that's preferred or unpreferred, doesn't matter. Everyone is responsible for their own feelings here on planet Earth and throughout this universe. So it is coming back to that. And I noticed it was kind of a mirror of what I talked about yesterday. So a lot of times we keep people in our life that we've outgrown because we don't want to disappoint them. We don't want them to feel bad. And with this example, it's like we bend the truth to make people feel good. It's kind of the opposites, but both of it is honestly, it is just perpetuating this idea that other people are responsible for our feelings or other people's feelings, when each one is responsible for their own feelings, their own response, or maybe it's a reaction. Whatever it is, it's going to help them grow. It's going to help them move forward on their path. Because if we keep, it's like placating, it's like a people pleaser in a way. And when we do that, the other person also doesn't grow. Because if they keep being placitated, they're not going to have these opportunities to really go within and to find the emotion that they want to feel, this kind of thing. And it also is like, it just, as I'm speaking it just feels kind of like gross that we're not, like, not everyone, but at least for me and others, it was not saying the truth. And then, like, I'd much rather hear the honest truth. And so, and of course, when we speak in honesty, we want to speak from the heart. When we speak our truth, one thing I noticed in some of the previous videos in this series is I mentioned speaking our truth, which is very important. But speaking our truth from the heart. Was calling that person, saying, "Oh, you lied to me," was that speaking from the truth from my heart? No, it wasn't. That was an emotional reaction because I didn't feel good. And I put that there. I could have very well said, responded with something like, "Oh, that's interesting. I heard something else," or something that is much more gentle, that lets the person know the same thing, yet doesn't kind of make them out as guilty in front of a bunch of other people. So speaking our truth doesn't mean going around and just spouting out whatever comes from our beliefs or programs or negative emotions. No, speaking our truth means speaking what is coming from love, from our heart. Love is patient, love is kind, love is respectful, love is peaceful, love has grace, compassion. And that is speaking from the heart and speaking our truth, because our truth is coming from our heart. If we speak our truth, capital T, truth, that is coming from our higher self, our true self. Speaking our truth just willy-nilly, that would be a lowercase t. But whenever I say speaking our truth, it's the uppercase T, speaking our true truth, our true self-truth, our higher self's truth, the source energy within us, truth. So how we can think about it is, what would our higher self say in this situation? And oftentimes you may realize that it's just nothing. But silence is often more powerful than any words. And other times we may be called to just echo back what is happening. which may assist the other with having their own awareness. Yet, like I've already mentioned in this video, sometimes we are not guided to share what another is doing because it is so subconscious, it is so on autopilot, they wouldn't even get it. And they would deny it, and they would get defensive, and then this starts this thing that an argument or something that really didn't need to happen. Because sometimes people, it's best if they sit with it themselves and find it out on their own. And ultimately, we all have to find out about these beliefs and programs and patterns on our own. Other people are just helping us, but we are the ones who have to become aware of them. The entire world is assisting us. Every single human is assisting us, yet it is up to us to take that assistance, to get introspective, to get curious, to get out the magnifying glass, put on our little hat, and poke around and see what's up. And when we do this, we kind of have this playfulness about it, and it doesn't become so heavy. Because the truth is that every one of these beliefs, programs, patterns we let go of, we rise in vibration and we expand in all ways. More joy, more peace, more freedom, more of who we truly are, more embodiment of our true self. And we can also, what's coming to me to share is we are shining a bit brighter because we have one less filter obscuring our light, because we are always shining extremely bright. Yet all these beliefs and programs are like these filters around us that it's like if you have a light and you put all these different color things around it, many, eventually you can't even see the light. So that each one we remove, our light is more radiant for all others to see. And it may not be seen visually, it may simply be felt, because we are a part of the human collective. And because we are a part, we do affect the whole. So if our vibration rises, the whole collective's vibration rises as well. So it's very important work, and it has a huge impact. And the other thing that came up about yesterday's video that's just perfectly come in now to share with you is that it can be really hard to let go of people, let go of relationships. But trust that we are all connected. The higher selves of every single human, we're all connected. And if we really want, we can communicate with the higher self of any other human at any time. And we can let the human avatar part, we can just let them be. And we can move on, we can let them be, but we can trust that we are always connected. And that just kind of takes out of this, maybe the sting of grief or sadness when we are called to move on from certain relationships. And we can even say this with certain programs, like the one that I realized and I'm sharing in this video. It's similar. We get so used to these programs, they actually feel comfortable. And in that comfort, there's this kind of false security, false safety. So just like we let go of relationships, we have to be able to let go of these programs, to stop thinking the thoughts that come from them. And we can even think of the thoughts as the program, if that's easier. And so it's just releasing it. Of course, replacing it with our truth, our firm foundation, because if we don't have that, there's no releasing. Yet there's a real master key here that I'm going to leave in the books, but basically, when we identify the belief or program, we'll put our higher perspective in its place, and then we can let it go. I'm just asking Spirit if I can share that with you. Okay, no, we're going to leave that in the books. But just know that that is how we replace the belief, is putting our higher self perspective in its place. And then if it ever comes up again, then we can come back to this higher perspective, which takes our focus off the program, pattern, whatever it is, and then that in itself allows it to go. So yes, this is what has come up to share today. And yeah, I'd just like to thank you so much for checking this out. Thanks for watching, and sending you much, much love and joy on your journey. And of course, you can find more info about the books in the description box and on my website. All right. Take care. See you next time.